We're here at IGEL Disrupt, taking place at the Diplomat Beach Resort in Miami. And today I have the pleasure of having James Millington with me from IGEL. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Brian. How are you?
Great. The show's been fantastic.
Good.
We always love this show. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about some of the changes that IGEL has gone through in kind of the marketing and messaging that we've seen today in the keynote with now and next.
Yeah, so first of all, hopefully everybody saw at the beginning of the year we relaunched the brand and we repositioned the company, focusing very much on the value that IGEL is providing, which is this secure endpoint operating system for now and next. And what do we mean by the now and next? And we see the way that the end user compute market is going. You know, we had the year of VDI that we talked about for a long time,
right.
And we actually had it. And I think we've smashed through that year of VDI. If the year of VDI was about maybe running applications at the endpoint, really isn't necessarily always the best strategy. I think we've taken that concept, and now if you look at, we had Gabe Knuth, who I'm sure many of your viewers will know very well. We had him on stage. He presented some great data on the growth of desktop as a service, on the growth of SaaS applications. All of this moving the application away from the endpoint. So I think we've smashed through that. And if you're moving your applications away from the endpoint, you really can rethink your endpoint strategy in what you're deploying there, and is there a better solution? And we think that IGEL OS is that better solution for a number of reasons. First is security. With IGEL OS, and we talked a lot about the preventative security model. Preventative security model at its basis is no local data, read-only operating system. It's IGEL OS 12 is a modular design, only putting what you need at the endpoint. There is the trusted boot process, all ways of locking down that endpoint. We're removing the attack vectors that cyber attackers go after. Once you've done that, you don't need the expensive, complex security stack at the endpoint of your AV, your EDR, your XDR, your DLP, your backup and recovery software. All of that can get removed. And what we see with customers is that is a significant operating expense, which we can take all of that. The example that Klaus gave this morning was a healthcare organization, 40,000 endpoints. We saved them 90% of their endpoint budget. Now that is a bit of an extreme figure.
Right.
You know, 50 to 75% is where we like to fit that, but when you look at removing that OpEx stack, being able to extend the life of those devices, you know, that is still part of the IGEL value proposition. But we're having a much more strategic conversation now around security, around manageability, around a great user experience, and around sustainability, all of this wrapped in a TCO improvement wrapper.
Talking about the kind of the future of EUC, what are some of the trends that you guys are seeing, and where do you see it in a year or 2 years from now?
So what has been great at the conference is all of the partners and the sponsors that we've got here. So today on stage we had Citrix. Citrix are talking a lot about their new innovations that they're bringing, their enterprise browser, which I think, as I've mentioned, VDI, DaaS, SaaS, that's where we seem to be going. It's always a mixed environment. Right. It's never one or the other, at least not so far, and I don't think that's going to change. So there's use cases for all of these technologies. So Citrix talked about their enterprise browser technology. Microsoft talked about a number of the advancements that they've been making around Windows 365 and working with IGEL on the frontline support. And we've got more announcements coming tomorrow which I suppose I can talk about if they're tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
by the time they see this video.
exactly. So this is an exclusive. So we're all tomorrow. One of the most exciting announcements with Microsoft is the addition of InTune support for IGEL. So IGEL OS devices will now show up in InTune. Again, to that point of it's always a mix. Organizations will have a heterogeneous environment, but we will now be part of that single pane of glass. Most importantly is that we are now, we can apply the conditional access rules from Enter ID onto IGEL devices. So we talk a lot about this preventative security model and how essentially you can lock down, prevent endpoint ransomware, but there are other attack vectors for ransomware. One of which, as an example, an attack I was reading about recently was an attack where the bad guys focused on a certain number of staff in the finance department, social engineering, got information about them, called the help desk, did a password reset, and were able to log in, and that's how they got in. Well, now that you have conditional access as part of this login process, whereas before we were just stopping the endpoint attack, now we can be involved in stopping these other types of attacks, whereby now the user, it's not just username and password, but we can do a conditional access check. Is the endpoint device an IGEL OS? Is it corporate owned? Is it reporting to my UMS? Is it running on a specific IGEL OS version? So this security story is really coming together, and with these partnerships. So they were just a few. Broadcom, EUC, going to be Omnissa. They presented. We had LG, we had HP, we had Lenovo, just the great partners. So EUC is very much alive and well, thriving, and really accelerating now to incorporate more than VDI, incorporating DaaS, but also incorporating the enterprise browser where that makes sense. And one of the partners that I missed out that also very excited about is Island with their enterprise browser. And again, bringing these new use cases. So EUC's growing, EUC's expanding, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting conference, and we look forward to tomorrow's event. And thank you for taking the time to speak with VMblog.
You're very welcome. It's great to see you. Thanks very much.